The shuttle rose through the atmosphere of the contested planet, leaving behind the ancient ruins and the now dormant AI core. Commander Voss sat at the helm, his mind replaying the battle with the Sentinel over and over. The tension that had gripped the away team had been palpable, but the worst was behind them, at least for now. Approaching the Vanguard, Voss announced, his voice calm, though beneath that calm was the ever-present weight of what awaited them. The tense negotiations between the Raith and Vexari. "We managed to stop the AI," Orlis said from the co-pilot's seat, still shaken but resolute. "But I'm not sure that's going to solve the bigger problem." Voss glanced at her. "No, it won't. The Raith and Vexari are still at each other's throats, and this whole mission might have only made things worse." As they approached the docking bay, Voss could see the Raith and Vexari ships still locked in a tense standoff in orbit. The battle they had feared hadn't begun yet, but the tension was still razor-sharp. Once docked, Voss and the away team exited the shuttle and made their way to the bridge. Captain Alera Marik was waiting for them, her face as calm and unreadable as ever, though the lines of stress had deepened since they had last spoken. "Report," Marik said, wasting no time. "The AI core is shut down," Voss said. "The Sentinel has been neutralized. The planet's surface is stable for now." Marik nodded, her eyes flicking to Orlis. "And the structure? Any lingering threats?" Orlis shook her head. "No immediate threats, but there's still so much about the AI we don't understand. It was far more advanced than anything we've encountered. We've disabled it, but I'm concerned about what it was originally designed to do. There could be more systems we haven't detected yet." "That's a problem for another day," Marik said. "Right now, our focus is on the peace talks." Voss crossed his arms, a look of frustration crossing his face. "They're not going to accept what happened down there as neutral, Captain. Both sides are going to want to claim the AI, or at least control the planet, now that we've uncovered its secrets." "I know," Marik said softly, her gaze distant, "which is why we have to approach this carefully. The Raith and Vexari are both prideful, stubborn species. We need to offer them something that makes them feel like they're winning without handing them the keys to a war." Before Voss could reply, Lenka, at the helm, spoke up. "Captain, the Raith and Vexari delegations are requesting immediate talks. They're demanding to know what we found on the planet." Marik exhaled. "It was only a matter of time. Open a secure channel. We need to get ahead of this." The view screen flickered to life, and the faces of Commander Trellon of the Raith and Overseer Xylok of the Vexari appeared. The tension between the two was as thick as ever, and both leaders looked more impatient than before. "Captain Marik," Trellon said, his voice clipped and demanding, "we have been waiting long enough. What did you find beneath the surface of the planet?" Xylok's mandibles clicked in agreement. "The Vexari will not tolerate secrecy. You must tell us what technology you uncovered, and whether it poses a threat." Marik straightened, choosing her words carefully. "As we suspected, the structure beneath the surface is an ancient AI. It was designed to manage and control the planet's resources. The system had begun to reactivate, and we were able to shut it down before it could take control of the entire planet." Trellon's eyes narrowed. "You're saying this AI could have controlled the resources? The planet's wealth?" Marik nodded. "Yes. If it had fully activated, it would have had the ability to manage every aspect of the planet's environment, including its valuable minerals and energy sources. It's no longer a threat, but we still don't fully understand its purpose." Xylok's glowing eyes flickered with suspicion. "And you expect us to believe that the Wraith had no hand in this reactivation? That this was a coincidence?" "Neither the Wraith nor the Vexari were involved," Marik said firmly. "This AI has been dormant for centuries, long before either of your species laid claim to the planet. We only intervened to prevent it from taking control." Trellon leaned forward, his voice cold. "And what gives you the right to decide the fate of this planet, Captain? You're an outsider." Marik met his gaze with unwavering calm. "Our mission is to prevent conflict. Had we allowed the AI to fully activate, it would have taken control of the planet, and neither of your species would have had access to its resources. We shut it down to give both sides a chance to negotiate a fair solution." Xylok tilted her head slightly, her eyes narrowing. "And what do you propose, Captain? That the Raith and Vexari simply share this planet? Marik nodded. Yes, this planet is valuable to both of your civilizations, but fighting over it will only destroy what you hope to gain. The AI has been deactivated. The resources are still here, waiting to be used. I propose that you both establish a joint venture to extract the planet's resources, one that benefits both of your peoples. Trellon scoffed, folding his arms. The Wraith do not share what is rightfully ours, and the Vexari will never agree to a joint effort with the Wraith, Xylox said, her voice icy. Marik remained calm. Think about the alternative. If you fight, countless lives will be lost. Even if one side wins, the planet will be devastated. Is that a future either of you want? There was a long, tense silence as both Trellon and Xylox considered her words. The weight of centuries of conflict hung between them like a shadow, but Marik could see the flicker of doubt in their eyes. Neither of them wanted to admit it, but they knew she was right. Finally, Trellon spoke, his voice grudging. And how would this joint venture work, Captain? Who would control the resources? Who would oversee the operation? Marik glanced at Voss before answering. An independent council could be formed, composed of equal representatives from both the Raith and the Vexari, along with neutral parties from the Alliance. This council would oversee the extraction and distribution of resources, ensuring that both sides benefit equally. Xylox's eyes narrowed. You expect us to trust an independent council led by the Wraith? No, Marik said quickly. The council would be neutral. It would be monitored by the Alliance to ensure that no side takes advantage. This is the only way to avoid a war that neither of you can afford. Trellon and Xylox exchanged glances, the tension between them palpable. They both wanted control, and neither was willing to give an inch. But Marik had seen enough conflict in her career to know that deep down, they both feared the same thing, total destruction. This is your chance to secure the future of your people, Marik said softly. Work together, and you'll both benefit. Fight, and you'll lose everything. The silence stretched on, but slowly, Marik saw the walls between the two leaders begin to crack. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Trellon sighed, his expression dark. The Wraith will consider your proposal, Captain. But know this, if the Vexari attempt to sabotage the agreement, we will take what is ours by force. Xylox's mandibles clicked in annoyance, but she nodded. The Vexari will also consider the proposal, but understand, Captain, we do not trust the Wraith. This joint venture will be closely watched. Marik nodded. I wouldn't expect anything less. The transmission ended, and the view screen went dark. Marik let out a long breath, the weight of the negotiations settling over her like a storm cloud. They're both still looking for an excuse to fight, Voss muttered. This is barely holding together. I know, Marik said softly, but we've bought some time. That's more than we had before. Orlis, who had been quietly watching the exchange, stepped forward. Captain, if we don't monitor the planet closely, we could miss something. There's still so much we don't know about that AI system. Marik nodded. We'll keep an eye on it. For now, though, our priority is keeping the peace. Voss folded his arms, his face grim. For how long, though? We stopped the immediate threat, but this conflict isn't over. Marik's eyes drifted to the stars beyond the view screen. No, it's not, but if we can keep them talking, keep them negotiating, we might just have a chance. As the bridge fell into a tense quiet, Marik couldn't shake the feeling that the discovery of the AI was only the beginning. The galaxy had a way of hiding secrets, and she had a sinking suspicion that the shadow of the ancient technology wasn't done haunting them yet. Captain Marik stood alone in her ready room, staring out the window at the swirling planet below. The negotiations were fragile, held together by a tenuous thread of trust that could snap at any moment. While the immediate threat of the AI had been neutralized, Marik knew deep down that the underlying tensions between the Raith and Vexari would not simply vanish because of an agreement. There was more at play here, more secrets buried beneath the planet's surface. She could feel it. The door to the ready room slid open, and Commander Voss stepped inside. His expression was tight, his posture tense. We just received an update from the Alliance, Voss said, his voice low. They're sending a diplomatic envoy to oversee the joint venture between the Raith and Vexari. Marik turned to face him, her arms crossed. And how long until they arrive? A few days at most, Voss replied. But that's not the real issue. Marik raised an eyebrow. What is it? Voss hesitated before speaking, as if choosing his words carefully. There's been chatter within the Raith and Vexari fleets. Both sides are preparing contingency plans. They're building up their forces, just in case. Just in case, Marik repeated, her tone flat. In case the talks fail, in case one side tries to seize the planet, or in case the AI reactivates. All of the above, I'd guess, Voss said, leaning against the wall. They don't trust each other, and frankly, they don't trust us either. The peace we've brokered is hanging by a thread, and they're both looking for an excuse to break it. Marik sighed, rubbing her temples. Of course they are. She paced across the room, her thoughts racing. They had managed to defuse the immediate threat, but the Raith and Vexari were still too focused on their own agendas to see the bigger picture. If one side made a wrong move, everything they had worked for would collapse in an instant. We need to keep them talking, Marik said, her voice firm. The longer they stay at the negotiating table, the less likely they'll be to take drastic action. We can't let them lose sight of what's at stake. Voss nodded, though his expression remained grim. Agreed. But there's something else you need to know. Marik's eyes narrowed. What is it? Voss glanced around, making sure they were alone, then lowered his voice. Orlis found something in the AI's systems, something she didn't mention in front of the Raith or Vexari. The AI was designed to manage the planet's resources. Yes, but that's not all. Marik frowned. What else? It was programmed to serve as a beacon, Voss said, his voice barely above a whisper. A signal that reaches far beyond this planet, far beyond this system. Orlis couldn't trace where it was being sent, but it's clear the AI was communicating with something, or someone. Marik's blood ran cold. A beacon? Reaching where? We don't know, Voss admitted, but the signal was activated as soon as the AI began to wake up. Whoever, or whatever, it's communicating with, they've already received the message. Marik's mind raced, the implications hitting her like a freight train. The Raith and Vexari were so focused on controlling the planet's resources, but this AI wasn't just a management system. It was part of something much larger, something connected to forces beyond their understanding. And now, someone out there knew the AI had been activated. Marik's jaw tightened. We can't let this information get out. If the Raith or Vexari learn that the AI was sending a signal, they'll tear this planet apart trying to seize control of it. Voss nodded. I agree. For now, we keep this between us. But we need to be prepared for the possibility that whoever, or whatever, received that signal might come looking for it. Marik turned back to the window, her mind spinning with possibilities. The galaxy was vast, and there were countless ancient civilizations that had risen and fallen before the Raith, Vexari, or even humanity had taken to the stars. Some of those civilizations had left behind remnants, powerful technologies that could reshape entire worlds. What if this AI was part of something far older and more dangerous than they had realized? We need answers, Marik said, her voice low. Get Orlis back into the system. I want her to find out everything she can about that signal, who it's reaching out to, and what it was designed for. Voss nodded. I'll tell her to get started. As Voss turned to leave, the comm system chimed. Lenka's voice came through, tense and urgent. Captain, you're needed on the bridge. We've got a situation. Marik's heart sank. What now? She hurried to the bridge, Voss following close behind. As they entered the command center, the tension in the air was palpable. Lenka was at the helm, her eyes glued to her console. What's going on? Marik asked, her tone sharp. We've just picked up an anomaly on long-range sensors, Lenka said, her voice tight. Something's approaching the system, something big. Marik's pulse quickened. Define big. Lenka pulled up the sensor data on the view screen. The display showed a massive object moving through space, heading directly for the planet. It was far larger than any ship the Vanguard had encountered, its shape unfamiliar and ominous. We don't know what it is, Lenka said, but it's not Raith or Vexari, and it's moving fast. Marik's stomach twisted. Is it responding to the AI's signal? Orlis, who had joined them on the bridge, quickly checked her scanner. It's possible. The timing lines up perfectly. Marik's mind raced. They had thought the AI was the primary threat, but now it seemed like something far worse was headed their way. Whoever, or whatever, had received the signal was coming, and they had no idea what it wanted. Raise the Raith and Vexari fleets, Marik ordered. We need to warn them. Lenka tapped a few commands, and moments later, the faces of Commander Trellon and Overseer Xylock appeared on the view screen, their expressions already tense. "Captain Marik," Trellon said, his voice cold. "What is the meaning of this?" "We've detected an unidentified object approaching the system," Marik said, her voice calm but firm. "It's large, and it's moving fast. We believe it may be responding to the signal sent by the AI on the planet." Xylock's eyes narrowed. "A signal? You didn't mention anything about a signal, Captain." Marik's stomach clenched, but she kept her voice steady. "We didn't have full confirmation until now. The AI sent a signal before we shut it down, and whatever received it is heading our way." Trellon's eyes flashed with suspicion. "You expect us to believe this is just a coincidence? That an unidentified object is conveniently arriving just after you claim to have deactivated the AI? "I don't care what you believe," Marik said sharply. "What matters is that something is coming, and if we don't work together, we'll all be at risk." Xylock tilted her head, her eyes glowing faintly. "What do you propose, Captain?" "We need to coordinate our defenses," Marik said. "The Raith, Vexari, and the Vanguard need to combine forces. We don't know what this object is or what it's capable of, but if we're not prepared, it could wipe us all out." There was a long, tense silence as Trellon and Xylock considered her words. Finally, Trellon spoke, his voice grudging. "The Wraith will not be caught off guard. We will prepare our fleet." Xylock's mandibles clicked in annoyance. "The Vexari will do the same. But know this, Captain, if this turns out to be a ploy, the consequences will be severe." The transmission ended, and the view screen went dark. Marik exhaled slowly, the weight of the situation pressing down on her. They had managed to convince the Raith and Vexari to cooperate for now, but the real challenge was still ahead. "Lenka," Marik said, her voice steady, "keep an eye on that object. I want to know the moment it enters the system." Lenka nodded. "Aye, Captain." Voss stepped forward, his expression grim. "If this thing is connected to the AI, we might be facing something we've never seen before." Marik stared at the view screen, the vast expanse of space stretching out before them. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together." As the Vanguard prepared for the arrival of the unknown, Marik couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the verge of something far bigger than a territorial dispute between the Raith and Vexari. The AI's signal had reached across the stars, and now something was coming. Something ancient, something powerful, and it was almost here.